Ukraine starts to zero some of the high-ranked Russian military commanders, like for example this one. We have the confirmation of the elimination of Valery Trankovsky, who was the head of missile ship headquarters of the Russian Black Sea Marine Fleet in Crimea. Trankovsky was a war criminal who ordered the massive missile strikes on Ukrainian territory, and because of his actions many civilians were unalived. So he was the commander of not just a single missile ship, but of headquarters. So what happened? Well, his car just kaboomed in Sevastopol city. By the way, it's my home city. So Russia lost this very important commander because of the sabotage act. Russia has one more big loss. This time it's Colonel Yevgeny Ladnov, call sign Pioneer. He was zeroed today reportedly by artillery fire in Crimea direction. Yes, the same guy on this photo, he was the commander of 19th Tank Regiment of 67th Division. Well, here I personally have the doubts whether he was eliminated by artillery fire, because this colonel had lots of the enemies within the Russian army. Under his command, the Russian soldiers were tortured and zeroed many of the times, for whatever reason, so basically he was a maniac. So I guess that someone from the Russian army could have zeroed him as well. There were many of the Russian soldiers who actually complained on the camera about that colonel. So this Russian guy who served in this particular regiment openly on camera said that that particular colonel ordered to zero some of the Russian soldiers. He was shocked. He obtained the wounds, by the way, and now he is somewhere in Russia. He cannot serve in the Russian army any longer. Actually, he is the lucky one, because some of the Russian soldiers are just unlucky. They continue to stay in their barracks even after obtaining the wounds. They got just a very limited medical treatment. They demand a doctor, and this woman says that doctor will come, but it is not coming for the third day consecutive. And in this particular case, it seems like enough is enough. They start to crush their own barracks just to put more attention to them. They start to film those kind of the videos. Let's watch it. They say rage, we're on the right, we're on the rage, something like that. Oh, this Russian guy has the same outfit as I have today. So they are crushing everything around. The situation is not okay for the Russian soldiers. Guys, if you like the job that I do on YouTube, you may also consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link for my Patreon page just in the video description below. Thank you so much for maintaining my motivation. An interesting case happened today in the Kupiansk direction, Kharkiv Oblast. Russians managed to break into the city directly. We have the drone video confirmation published by the Deep State military map source. So there was one Russian BMP and couple of MTLBs, which are used for the infantry transportation. And yes, those vehicles just paraded into the Kupiansk city, and there they were kaboomed. But they went really far away from the current front lines. This map was shared by Russians, and they say that there was the attack from the Russian side and the power of the convoy went into Kupiansk. It's the big fuck up, let's say it honestly. Luckily the Russian vehicles were destroyed, but it means that there is no robust defense on the way to Kupiansk. If Russians somehow sneaked into the city with three of the vehicles, it was not even the small group of infantry. It means that the Ukrainian defense here is not that good. According to the Institute for the Study of Wars, in Kyiv is under the Russian control, and Russians also claim that. But if you check the Deep State military map source, you may see that this village is still in the gray zone. Well, actually it's hard to say because different analytics give different information. But the fact is the fact, Russians went to Kupiansk, and we may expect more attacks from their side in the coming days. Yeah, just to clarify, for now there is no presence of the Russian army in Kupiansk. All of their units were just annihilated, but it happened too late. And Kupiansk in general is very important for the Ukrainian army because of the roads, bridges. It is the main supply hub. With the help of the Iskander ballistic missiles, Russians cut those two of the bridges. So if Russians attack Kupiansk and occupy this area, they will cut supplies for the entire region of Ukrainian-controlled territory. Judging on those latest news, I think the reinforcements are needed to be sent to Kupiansk. Sorry guys, we have to speak about the American politics again because it influences Ukraine a lot. So Donald Trump is expected to appoint some of the peace envoy after promises of negotiating the peace between Ukraine and Russia. You know, I immediately recall this guy whose name is Kurt Volker. He was appointed to Ukraine with the similar duties. It happened before Russia started the full-scale war against Ukraine, but his actions didn't help at all. The Minsk agreements were signed, but shooting continued. And after it, Russia started its massive war, so in case of any sort of the peace talks, I expect the same strategy from Russia. Two grandpas met today in the White House, as you can see from this picture. Yeah, this is kind of funny. Joe is happy, everyone is satisfied, seems like. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Well, luckily there will be the smooth transition of the power, Joe Biden is okay with it, everything will be settled peacefully. But the people Donald Trump is choosing for the very important positions, it's kind of scary. Scary not even for Ukraine, but for democracy and common sense. For example, Trump picks Tulsi Gabbard for Director of National Intelligence. This lady actually accused the United States of America for starting the war between Russia and Ukraine. She said that the United States provoked Russia for this war. She also told about the mysterious biolabs on the territory of Ukraine. So she's like Major Taylor Greene, but from different perspective. She also met with so-called Syrian President Bashar Assad back in 2017, and in 2019 she said that he is not an enemy for the United States. In 2022 she parroted Russian President Vladimir Putin's blame on Ukraine, saying that the war in general is Biden's administration failure, but we heard the similar rhetorics from Donald Trump himself. She said that Russia has legitimate security concerns regarding Ukraine becoming a member of NATO. Ukraine is not even close to that membership. The big country with nuclear weapons just attacked its neighbor, and she blames her own country. It's not even close to the national interest to put her on any sort of the position, but she'll be a director of the national intelligence. That is what I call a Delulu parade, or maybe I should call it a freak show. Yes, here on my channel I say the things as they are. I would say that the only positive news is this guy who will be in charge of the Senate. Republicans picked the senator of South Dakota. His name is John Thune. He's a Republican, but he's not Delulu, and he voted for the military support of Ukraine. The rest of the persons which Donald Trump chose personally to different positions voted against the military support of Ukraine. Because of that, I don't think that the military support of Ukraine from the United States may continue after Donald Trump gets to the office. Well, there is still a probability that Donald Trump may continue to support Ukraine, but it's very, very low, judging on the team he selects. The news for Ukraine are not catastrophic, but they are not good at all. Seriously, there will be a new government department called DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. One more black hole for the taxpayers' money. And there will be two kings in charge of that department, King of Cringe Elon Musk and King of Delulu Ramaswamy. DOGE. Here we go. Is it really happening like that? I mean, it looks like the scenario for that tragic and comedy movie. Yeah, we'll see what they do in this DOGE Department of Efficiency. For now, I just see the memes retweeted by Elon Musk, that's it. The mainstream media are saying that the European allies are also now changing the direction towards the possible negotiations between Ukraine and Russia. But I want to tell you one thing, they're not fighting against Russia, those are two of the sides, well now three with North Korea, Ukraine and Russia. Yes, Ukraine obtains the military support from Europe and North America, but finally it's up to Ukraine and mostly Russia and Vladimir Putin to decide whether to continue this war or not. For now, honestly, I don't see the reasons for the Russian army to stop. Also, the current Russian economy works mainly on the military rails. If you stop the war immediately for Russia, it will be very critical. Salaries, especially in the military production sector, will drop. Russians will be dissatisfied, especially those who will come from Ukraine. So why does Putin need all of that? For him, it's better to continue to sell oil, gas, print rubles, and pay his own people for the production of the shells, for example. Yeah, by doing so, Russia is creating the economy bubble because they don't have the real production for their economy. All of their production is mostly military, which is just wasted in Ukraine. But many Russian people involved in the military sector obtain quite good salaries. If the war stops, they will be mostly laid off, and those who stay will obtain much less salary. And Putin is kind of comfortable with the current situation. He says that his army is taking village after village, but the real thing that it is not bringing the victory for Russia. Putin thinks like that, probably, but what Russia actually wins if they destroy the villages and later on their forces are occupying those. They just include those settlements in their maps and that's it. Usually there are no people left, nothing. But again, Putin is okay with his role. He thinks that he is the collector of the Slav lands. He wants to unite everything under his Russian flag, and in this case there should be no Ukraine. He said about it many times in numerous of the interviews to Tucker Carlson or whatsoever. For him, Ukrainians do not exist. Those are the brainwashed Russians with an artificial language and culture, who are now slaves of the biggest enemy of Russia, Anglo-Saxons. That's how they think, and tell me guys, how the negotiations are really possible if Putin is just determined to finish Ukraine, and I'm sure he is. And Donald Trump with his Muppet Show team will not do anything. Yes, United States is the powerful country, but it's not the single country in the world. And honestly, Putin doesn't care on Trump's opinion. He has his own opinion. So maybe because of that, there could be confrontation between Donald Trump and Putin in the future. I do not exclude even that scenario because two of those individuals have a significant ego. And how would they behave if they would not agree on something, and for sure they will not? It's kind of unpredictable, but we'll see in the coming years or maybe months. And NATO Military Committee Chief Rob Bauer said that if Russia hadn't got any sort of the nukes, the NATO forces would enter Ukraine and get rid of Russia. Oh, I guess we have the Captain Obvious with microphone. So many medals. In what battles this NATO general got those? Why I'm actually laughing about this guy? Because he tells that we are scared of Russia and their nukes. And if you want to attack your neighboring country, doing some massacres, strike its infrastructure, occupy the territory, unaliving lots of the civilians, you need to have nukes at first, and that is how we'll not act on what you are doing. Guys, honestly, with this soft attitude, I do expect that the Third World War will start very soon. Because if you read the history, exactly the same events happened before the Second World War, where there was the clear aggressor, but Western politicians, and Soviet Union by the way, decided to play some of the games with him, letting the Nazi Germany to annex lots of the territories. And now the Western politicians and military officials of a NATO bloc in this case are saying, please don't touch us, don't touch, just take Ukraine, take their territory, the part of it right now. They do not understand that it doesn't work like that, and even from my perspective it is understandable. May Donald Trump potentially change it? I don't think so, judging on the team he selects. The New York Times came out with the article that Ukraine is looking for the nuclear solution in this war. They cite some of the sources in Ukrainian government that the Ukrainian officials are looking to organize the production of the small nuclear weaponry tactical nukes, which could be similar to those made by Americans at the end of the Second World War. Ukraine has some of the uranium which could be used for the production of that weaponry, but again those could be the very small shells or bombs, so it's already the second time that we heard the information that Ukraine might in the future produce some of the nukes. Ukraine just gave up its nukes for nothing, so it's quite logical to return those, at least partially. Yeah, United States will be against that move, but what can they do if they after all cut the military support of Ukraine? Sorry, it's not the New York Times, but the Times magazine. Alright, now let's go to Kurahovo, to the front line in general. Here you can see the Russian army advancement. They're very close to reach this road and to all of those settlements. And the Ukrainian army group basically has no road any longer for supplies. It means that Ukraine should withdraw its forces from this region. Unfortunately, there is the chance that in the coming week we're gonna see this kind of the picture, because Russians move really fast. The only place where they might be slowed down is Kurahovo itself. But again, they may bypass the settlement from the north, and also they may advance from the south. So Ukraine would just be forced to leave this area, including Kurahovo. So it was 1 week ago, and it is today. As you can see, for a single week, Russia propelled a lot. And what is also bad in this picture, if we zoom into Andriivka, for example, you may see this road, which is the main road for Ukrainian supplies. So it connects basically Pokrovsk, Shevchenko, and all of those settlements with Andriivka, and Russians are able already to aim towards that road with their mortars, artillery, and FPV drones. It makes the defense of this area for Ukrainian army much harder, especially if there is the rain and the field roads are unusable. And as you can see, Russia also started the small assaults on the south. And they also have this one more vector from Selidove, so after occupying the settlement, as I predicted, as well as many of the experts, Russia will move towards Pokrovsk from 2 or even 3 directions. In Kursk direction, Russians have lots of the attack attempts. They continue to attack Ukrainian positions even today, but they have severe losses. For now, Ukraine is still capable to hold the ground. Germany helps Ukraine a lot. They supplied one more IRIS-T air defense system, so totally Ukraine obtained 6 of the air defense systems of that type. But at the same time, Chancellor Scholz again said and mentioned that he will not supply Taurus cruise missiles for Ukraine. Scholz, we understand that already many of the times you said about it, so shut up about Taurus. Hopefully an ex-German chancellor will be not that fluffy as you, Scholz. But still, as I told you, Germany helps Ukraine a lot with air defense, with other systems like Panzerhaubitze 2000 and many more, but Taurus could play a very big role in favor of Ukraine. Right guys, and now please don't forget to press your huge like to this video. By doing so you help me a lot, and as usual I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.